So this is what it's all about. I've done my research over the summer. I've come out in the bush, and straight away my numbers have put me into some beautiful ground. So let's see what happens. Now this is an absolute must when you're heading into the bush. Put a couple of these in your pocket and you're walking around metal detecting. Sit under a tree when you get tired. It's beautiful. So we've got a 6 ppb to the south of us, and we've got a 7 ppb 800 meters to the north, and there's a couple little numbers in between. So there's probably a fault line going through this country, but this ground's beautiful. Let's have a look. Quartz, ironstone, beautiful quartz little reef here. We had a bit of rain overnight, so I've got fresh tracks on the road. It'd be very easy for somebody to follow me now. But you can see if I get off the track here, I'm going to leave a big gouge in that windrow. So I need to try to find a nice hard spot where there's a bit of a reef. I'm going to have to go back, I think. I'll have to go back on that hill where that ironstone came across the track, so I can get off this track without leaving a big gouge. Somebody can easily follow me. You know, this is a good spot right here. Not the best, but I got to think about my tires as well. So I'll go back and sweep my tracks a little bit and try to conceal where I've gotten off the road. Here's my tool of choice. I get this from Bunnings. It's good because it actually extends. Okay, well that's pretty obvious, isn't it? Give that a sweep. Give it a bit of a sweep. Here we can see how obvious these fresh tire tracks are. Because it rained a little bit overnight, these tire tracks will stay there for a long time. So let's give them a bit of a touch up. Also, you have to be careful with your boot marks. So don't go out there and make big boot marks. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but still, a little bit more rain and that'll be hidden pretty well. All right. See, especially that little bit there. See this bit here? I mean, you can have a little bit of a fresh mark in the road. It could have been a kangaroo or a cow. But when they've got deep tire tread, the next person, if they come along today or tomorrow, before the next little bit of rain, they'll see that. Okay, so we've gotten off the road. We swept our tire tracks. Now we have to go 690 meters to the high geochem number, which is a 7 ppb. So we have to go cross country, picking our way around the stumps. We don't want to get a flat tire the first day of the trip. Okay, here's the thing. I've done my research. I've got a couple high geochem hits. 6 ppb, 7 ppb, and the background values are 0, 1, 2. So those are elevated values. Now, I'm not just going to come out here and drive to these hot spots, walk around for 10 minutes and leave. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to camp in here for a couple days, have a look at the geology, get a feel of what's going on. I mean, the first impression is it's fabulous looking country, very likely, it's auriferous ground. In fact, I love this country. I've never been here before. Unbelievably, it's on open ground. So if I can come in here and jag a piece of gold, I'll be ecstatic. So now I just need to find a nice place to camp for a few days, somewhere high and dry, a bit of shade, a bit of firewood, and settle in. Yes, it's music to my ears. I couldn't be happier. I'm in camp, just about set up. We got a nice little rain happening. That's going to cover my track nicely. Now, I feel pretty confident that I'm hidden away. I'm commando, and should somebody come along the track, they won't see where I got off the track and try to follow me in. Because once you get into a new area that looks good and you've got numbers, you've got to keep it secret. Last year, I got off the track, made camp, and within 5 days, somebody came in on a quad bike and sheepishly asked me, "Are you getting any?" So, there you go. Had I been on a patch, it wouldn't have been much fun because it was pending ground and, it's a free-for-all. Okay, here's the first spot. It's a 7 ppb, which is elevated. And it's no surprise. I mean, look at this country. I mean, that ridge down there just looks beautiful. Look at that. That's where you expect to find a patch. This is why it pays to do your research. I'd never be here otherwise. So let's have a detect and try to get that first piece of gold. Now this is where the ground's pretty much sorted here. You know, the smaller pebbles have undergone a lot of water action. That large Gidgee tree is very interesting. That signifies where the deepest ground is. So I'll just go through here slowly back and forth and hopefully we'll jag a piece. Here's this beautiful country. Now we have to remember that this ground was 100, 200, 500 meters higher. We don't know, but all this ground has been eroded down over the 500 million years or so, and it's come down and it wants to get in this creek and it wants to go. So always check the creeks. Back and forth, up and down. This is the deep ground. Some of the best patches I've found have been, say, 8 to 10 meters in this area here. The gold seems to get trapped on its way down to the middle of the creek. You know, the gold wants to be right there, doesn't it? And usually there are a couple pieces there, a couple nice slugs in the middle of the creek in the deepest part. So I spent a couple days in this area, but I found that there was an old track, an old fence line over here. I worked out the geologists, they stayed on the tracks and they sampled off the tracks. So when the samples were taken about 15 years ago, that was a working track. So this area is not as isolated as what I would like it to be. That's 2 days worth of walking there. You can see I covered most of the ground. Basically walked where I thought the gold should be. Gave it a fair test. So I'll move on to target number 2. It was a good camp for 4 nights, but it's time to move on. Abandoned homestead. It's like somebody's taking a sign. You can go in there if you wanted to. I guess that's the front door. This old shed's still in pretty good nick. Come live up here if you had to. Somebody's been camping. It's a bit stinky in here. Yeah, definitely a bit stinky. Something must have died.